Yeah, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're ready to start.
I believe we are, but let's do our final calls to our runners. Gino and Couch, are you guys both ready to go?
I'm good.
Yep, I'm good.
Perfect. Then can we
Right.
get started then?
So I think if you just give me a countdown, we can start.
Perfect. In that case, I will count you guys down. So starting with 3. 3, 2, 1, go. So welcome everybody to this Final Fantasy IV stream. I am your commentator for this run, Natara, and the runners we have here today are Gino and Couch23, both very experienced runners with this run, so it should be quite an exciting race. What we are playing is Final Fantasy IV, but very specifically, we are playing the Final Fantasy II US version, which came out on the Super Nintendo. The timer hasn't started, we're being advised, so you might have to start it a bit.
Yeah.
We're almost
I'm working on that.
Okay, cool. So yeah, Final Fantasy II US version, and the specific run we're doing here now is the any percent no credit work category. So it is approximately 2 hours and 15 minutes long, and it is going to be a bit of an exciting ride, especially for anyone who has not seen this run before. The first 2/3 of the game are going to look relatively normal with a few exciting bits in them, but I won't spoil the end, but I promise you it's something really kind of cool. So right here we are doing the intro part of the game where, for the most part, other than mashing, neither of our runners have any control. So it's about 7 to 8 minutes long, this part. And one of the things you're going to see them doing right from the get-go is using something called pause buffering. And this doesn't actually affect anything in the game as such, but what it's going to do is they're purposely manipulating the in-game timer in order to affect a glitch, which is at the end of the run, which uses your money, your in-game timer, and a few other things to do some really fun, exciting glitches. So yeah, you're gonna see that a bunch. Something which is definitely pretty exciting here, or pretty interesting, is when you're just seeing experienced runners like both Gino and Couch, they're both going to stay, pretty in sync, especially at the beginning, because the only real difference comes down to mashing speed. But as you get even more experienced runners or less experienced runners, you can see people gaining and losing time as early as like right now, because the mashing is really quite particular, and the better you are and the more consistent you are at doing that mashing, the faster you're going to be. So quick kind of rundown of the plot so far, because I'm sure that's what we're all here for. Our main character is the Dark Knight Cecil, and he is the current commander of the Red Wings, which is the airship fleet which belongs to the Kingdom of Baron, which we have just arrived at. And Cecil has just finished coming back from the town of Mysidia, where he and his crew have forcibly stolen their crystal to give to his king. And both his crew and Cecil are not feeling very good about that. So he is questioning the king, and, well, the king doesn't like that. So he's decided that Cecil will be immediately stripped of his command, and he is going to have to deliver a package to the village of Mist. And his buddy Kane, the dragoon, who happened to be listening at the door for some reason, and tried to defend his friend, and got sent on duty too. So this is the first point of the game where our runners do have full control. And anywhere from this point to the time where they get control outside of Baron Castle, you're going to see Gino doing it now, you saw Couch doing it earlier, they are both going to go into their menu and change both their battle speed and their message speed to 1, because not only is this faster, it is going to ensure that all the battle timings and such work out correctly. You also saw them go off to the side for a second to open a chest. Now, in that chest was a tent, which is going to be used in our first major glitch of the run in approximately 7 to 10 minutes. Yeah, this is still, this is the best M&M kart racing you guys have ever seen. That's a blatant lie, because that M&M kart racing is pretty fantastic. So something else you're going to see them do, Geno probably took an extra step elsewhere, but you saw Couch step onto the chair in Cecil's room and then take a step off and then kind of go back towards his bed in the direction he was going. And that is part of the step route manipulation, as prior to the start of this run, both of our racers did set up encounter seed manipulation. Specifically, they set it up so they are both on seed 92. And what this is going to accomplish is, so long as they take at least one extra step within Baron, because they are still step routing within castles, they will not get any encounters from the time they leave Baron Castle until after they complete the mist clip. So that's can save them, depending on what seed they may have gotten on previous, like without that, that can save between 30 to 60 seconds, which is a huge amount of time. So yeah, that is definitely really important. That extra step, though, is because if they don't take that step, the very first step they take outside of Baron will be an encounter, which is no fun for anybody. We're gonna run away from enough of those as is. Yeah, not soft locking can be a little difficult, but it depends on the run, it depends on the game, and what particularly you're doing. So this is the very end of the intro, and it's also completely out of the runner's control. We're so lucky in Final Fantasy IV, we get 7 minutes into the run, we get a 1 minute pee break. So enjoy it while you can. So, yeah, so enjoy. If you didn't get the plot earlier, here's a little recap of what's happened in our game so far. Yeah, there's going to be many important things coming up here, but why don't we talk about this tournament quickly? Or not the tournament, this event. So it is Speedrun to Change the World, and we are fundraising for money for the Change Water, a charity. Any donations that we receive for this charity will go directly to them, and they also use 100% all of those funds to send towards countries which need clean water. So we have a lot of donation incentives, and not specifically for this run, but in general. So I'm going to link the donate tracker there. So please, there's lots of good incentives there, such as, do you want in Pidge's Super Mario RPG run coming up during this weekend? Do you want her to fight Kulix? You're going to have to donate for it. So if you want to save or kill the animals in Super Metroid, I think we all know what the obvious answer is. Put your dollars on that. It's going to a good cause, and yeah, it's going to be great. So, back to our speedrun. We have now full control. No more of this pesky cutscene, at least for now. And the first place that they're going to go is a place I'm sure most of us, when we played this casually, were not aware existed, which is this Chocobo Forest. So, they're both picking up their chocobos right away, as it's both faster and they save encounters, taking them immediately to our first dungeon, the Misty Cave. So they're going to have a nice casual stroll here, lots of mist, very scenic, great this time of year, and they're also not going to have any encounters, which is beautiful. So they're also not going to pick up any chests. Any chests that we pick up in this game are very specifically routed, both within the step routes and because they're items we need for the run. So there's one or two optional, but generally, no, we only pick up the ones we need. So, but that does lead us to the first boss, the Mist Dragon. So even though this is a tutorial boss, which was created to introduce the shiny new ATB system, it is still quite technical. What they're trying to do is they need to get 7 hits on Mist Dragon before it turns to its mist form. By doing this, they will be set up for a sound cue, where they will send Kane up into a jump before the game tells you in its tutorial mode that it's safe to attack the Mist Dragon. But we know through timings that everything is safe, and that's going to save time. As soon as we get this message telling us it is safe to attack the Mist Dragon, we are then going to do a item duplication glitch. And what this is we are dragging an empty space up into the shield spot for Cecil, and I believe both of these runners do complete it with Kane, which is then they take that same empty space and drag it up into his shield spot, completing the duplication. So as soon as this fight is over, which if everything was done correctly is only a 2-round fight, you will not see another mist form. They're going to complete that item duplication, which will give them 65,000 invisible shields. Now,
I just want to point something out here.
It's got an extra mist form, I see.
Yes, I was 8 damage short.
Oh, see.
That's pure luck.
Something you will also learn about this game is it is quite RNG heavy and it hates everybody. Some a little more than most, but it is filled with hate, so sometimes that's just how it rolls. In the meantime,
That was set up already.
Couch is starting the beginning of the mist clip and completing his item duplication, which, as mentioned earlier, will give him 65,000 invisible shields, which, once he finishes the mist clip, he walked in through the right side. Again, for anyone familiar with the casual run, when you usually enter mist, it's through the left side, and you immediately trigger a cutscene, which makes it inaccessible, but we don't want that. That wastes time. We got things to do. We got things to sell. We got shopping to do. So by selling those 65,000 invisible shields, because they used Kane's shield, they get about 35 or 3.5 million GP, which is plenty for this run. And then they immediately use it to buy 10 dancing daggers, which are going to be very important. They are a really excellent item, which especially you're usually not supposed to get until about mid-game. So you're going to see shortly just how powerful they are. Also making sure while in Mist to pick up both the Tiara and the Change Rod, which are going to have a lot of important use. To quickly explain what the Mist Flip is, we're taking advantage of kind of partial movements here, where we interrupted a movement on the map, so it looked like Cecil just turned in place on the map, and used a tent, which moved his position on the map, so he was actually he was on 1 block further than the map showed, allowing our runners to take 1 step onto Mist and not actually trigger it. Now, by buffering another one of these partial steps, and interrupting again with the menu, but this time saving and resetting, it allowed both of our runners to step completely over Mist and enter in through the right side and do all of this magic. So with all those things done, they are ready to trigger the cutscene they were supposed to get initially and destroy the town. So, because we don't need this town anymore. So, turns out that mysterious package that they were sent to deliver, turns out it was actually it was a bomb. Because the king wanted to destroy Mist and get rid of all of the summoners. Not a good plan. Not very nice, that king. Couch there, as he's a little further on the cutscene, there's nothing we can do while the little girl Rydia is attacking us with Titans. So during the animation, it's a perfect time to do some inventory management, which is going to be a very big deal in this run. We get a lot of items, and we need them in very specific places, both to save time and for some glitches later. So you're going to see in every available opportunity, our runners are going to be making sure to organize their inventory. One thing they also did before they lost Kane in this cutscene is they both made sure to remove his iron glove, because he's leaving us. He doesn't need that, but I can tell you we're gonna need it later. Now, both of these runners had to reset their consoles, and both of them did a soft reset in order to do the mist clip. But by doing that, it means they lost the encounter seed they were on. It reset into something different. Now, since they did a soft reset, it's basically impossible or extraordinarily difficult to purposely manipulate which seed you're going to be on. However, we have so much documentation which tells us exactly where to go, and according to which encounters we get, um, it will allow us to see what encounter seed we're on and take extra steps to account for that. So Couch is now in what is usually a push A to win battle, and it still is, but that's too slow for us. We're speedrunning. So this is the first time you're going to see us implement what's referred to as run buffering. So it's where whenever you try and run in a battle which is unrunnable, you get a can't run message come up. And while that can't run message is up, it pauses the ATB gauge for the entire battle, and any inputs, like any commands you put in while the message is up, kind of jumps to the front of the input queue. So makes battles a little faster. So while it's not critical for the run to do run buffering then, it really can save some time, because as long as those soldiers and the officer ATB agrees with us, you can kill all of the soldiers without them even attacking or even attempting to attack. So yeah, you can't trust me with my links. I was attempting to post our step routing website, but they seem to have links turned off, so that's okay. Yeah, don't worry about it. I promise. I have all the spam.
Sometimes you'll just get unlucky and this happens. It's yeah, like you just can't do anything about it and it turns off.
It is. Like I mentioned, the officer ATB is kind of random. I think there's a 1 in 3 chance that this will happen, and you can run buffer perfectly, and that's still going to happen. So as soon as Couch got control, he made sure to equip our new party member Rydia with the tiara that we happened to steal from her house before we, burned her town down. Because as you may have noticed, she has exactly 30 HP. And we're not going to be fighting any battles before the next boss, and she is incredibly squishy, but also going to be incredibly important. So that, both by equipping her with the tiara, a mid-game defense item, and putting her in the back row, thank you so much for posting that link. That was the one. So yeah, by putting her in the back row and giving her that tiara, it will allow her to hopefully survive, or at least not get one-shot by the next boss. So the numbers that Geno posted in the chat are his seeds. So he is somewhere between seed 194 to 196. And again, depending on which seed he is on, he'll be able to determine where he's going to take extra steps and to avoid future encounters. Because there are certain points, certain rooms and places in the game where you can take steps and they affect the step counter increments, but you can't get encounters. So we abuse that a little bit in order to avoid encounters that we don't want, or just extra encounters, because we ain't got time to fight battles, guys, and even running away from battles takes time. So the fewer of those we can get, the better. Geno here doing what Couch did a little earlier and picking up everybody's favorite old man, Tella. If you can't tell or are not familiar with the speedrun of this game, that was pure sarcasm. Tella here is, unfortunately, at this part of the game, he's not very useful. A lot of the spells in this game have their own chance to miss. And Tella, all of the characters use their stats to help calculate that. And Tella's stats are just worse than everybody else's because he's an older gentleman. So he has a chance of actually missing with some of our really important spells, such as, I don't know, life, stop, anything. So we refer to that in the community as Tella Life, because Tella. So hopefully he'll perform well for the first half of this game. The second half of the run, there's a lot less Tella-lifing chance, but he just does that. Yeah. Hey, we have a wonderful, lovely older gentleman who joins our run later on, and he is so completely useful. He, in fact, I will go as far as to say, the most important person in this run. So, but Tella, we don't have respect for Tella. We have the opposite of respect for Tella. But again, second half, he gets a little more useful. So, both Couch and Geno have their particular seeds. So, let's find out what that means for us. Geno, lucky enough to do a cutscene. it's lots of fun for him, while Couch is on his way to picking up a one of the first chests that we are going to get in this game. It contains quite an important item, actually. So I'll talk about that now once he picks it up. Getting some not great encounters there. So depending on what seeds each of these gentlemen are on, it can make a big difference, because even though Geno's behind now, he could have much better encounters.
Never mind.
Never mind. Uh-oh. Good.
Yep.
So you're seeing Couch here taking extra steps on top of this waterfall. As beautiful as this waterfall is, we're not here for the scenery. You cannot get any encounters on that ledge, so he's avoiding later encounters by being up there. So, and taking those extra steps. So it is beautiful.
For me, my seed is actually pretty good.
Oh,
Like 23 worse than 43.
Oh, Couch's seed looks pretty awful, actually.
This is what happens.
Oh, wow. Yeah, these are all done by color. The more red it is, the better it is, and the more blue it is, the worse it is. And Couch's seed's pretty purple. So, Geno is on seed 194, which is going to save him 17 encounters and 70 seconds if he can stay on the step route, while Couch's will save him 13 encounters and he'll save 56 seconds. Let's see what kind of steps. Couch has at least 50 more steps than Geno has, though, so looks more like 60 or 70. Now, Octomam! This is the first real boss of the game, as Miss Dragon isn't really, it's a tutorial boss. And what makes this fight so scary from the beginning is the fact that he is the fastest boss in the game from the beginning of the fight. You may have noticed that he got 2 hits right away before anyone else got to do anything, even input a command. And thankfully, he does start to slow down as we start to destroy his arms, and his arms are destroyed by number of hits. So 3 hits will destroy the first arm, and every arm thereafter takes 2 hits. But of course, we do want to do a certain amount of damage. So, first off, we equip the Darkness Sword, which both of the runners picked up in the chest. And that's because not only does Octomam have a weakness to the element on that sword, it is the last upgrade Cecil's going to get for the next 25 to 30 minutes.
Oh,
and even with the sword, it's not too great.
Just, if you caught that, if you saw it, Rydia, about Rydia. But if you saw she turned red for a second...
I did.
That's, Rivers can explain that.
Okay, I think you were doing the swapping people glitch. Either way. So yes, so you want to have that sword equipped on Cecil, as that's super important. But the real winner of this fight is Rydia. Those dancing daggers that we purchased, they, when used as an item, are incredibly powerful at this point in the game. So as you can see, like, Cecil's doing a good, like, 100, 120, but Rydia is doing between, like, 190 and 150. Like, she is a powerhouse, but she has 30 HP. So they're doing a delicate balance of, trying to actually do, proper actions and keeping her alive. So Tella, on the other hand, for the first couple of turns, he's gonna try and use Lit 1 because it helps a bit. But after about 3 turns, nice crit for Geno. After about 3 turns, he's not doing enough hits to get rid of arms. He's not doing enough damage to help kill Octomam. So often what they do is they will choose to stop Tella, and that or resurrecting Rydia with life are 2 of the first opportunities for Tella life in this run, but looks like neither of the runners wanted to deal with Tella and his nonsense, so they've just chosen to parry with him instead, which is a little slower, but certainly safer. And Couch, as soon as he was done the battle, he swapped the formation of his party. And that is really important, because by doing that there, he was not going to have to touch his party formation again until he reaches Mount Ordeals, which is about 45 to 50 minutes into the run. So that's a lot of menuing that you can save. Now, guys, for anyone familiar or not familiar with this fight, this is pretty epic and pretty famous for a certain quote which is coming up. So if you have them, get your spoons ready, because it's time for our Spoony Bard. There he is, you Spoony Bard. So, it is an actual word, and it does kind of translate properly. Like, there are official, that is the closest translation, but it is language we don't tend to use these days, and it's incredibly silly. So, what's even more silly is trying to watch Tella hit this bard, because if there's only one person more useless than Edward, it is apparently Tella. So, he tries to hit and does not have much success. So, plot-wise, they were going through the cave in order to get to this castle of Damsian, because they need the Sand Ruby, which they have access to because Cecil's girlfriend Rydia has not Rydia, that's a little creepy, she's 7. Cecil's girlfriend Rosa tried to cross the desert on her own and got desert fever, and the only cure is the Sand Ruby. They met Tella on the way, who was talking about a powerful monster at the end. He was trying to get to Damsian because his daughter fled to get married to a wicked bard. Unfortunately, as the party arrives, they see the Red Wings have made it there first, and have not only bombed and attacked, they have stolen the crystal. And poor Anna, Tella's daughter, got caught in the crossfire trying to save Edward, who the aforementioned wicked bard, who is actually the Prince of Damsian. So Anna had chosen to try and save him because in her eyes, he was more important. So Tella, not happy about this at all. But he gets a new focus for his rage when he finds out that there's a new commander of the Red Wings named Golbez. So he hasn't listened to reason whatsoever, listened to the fact that, hey, we as a team just took out this, big octopus. Maybe us as a team can handle this Golbez guy. He's like, nope, I'm Tella. I got this. Spoiler, he don't got this. So instead, we trade useless Tella for, in casual runs, useless Edward, but guys, this is a speed run. What you think is one way in casual is not the way in our speed run. So Edward actually is one of the most useful people in the first half of the run, because like Rydia, he is also able to use dancing daggers, making him a big damage dealer. And one of the important things about not only the previous fight with Octoman, but the next few fights, is that both Rydia and Edward stay alive, but especially Edward now that we have him, because both of them are going to need the HP for Mom Bomb, one of the upcoming boss battles. And Edward is also going to need that HP for Bool afterwards. Now, you saw Couch opened one chest along his way there, and we refer to that as our safety life, because there's no reason you don't have to pick up that life at any point. However, you have to literally walk past it, and this game hates everybody, and it knows. It just can see and tell when you don't pick up that life, and it will make you hate. So you know how I mentioned about both Edward and Rydia needing to be alive for the next bunch of boss battles? Them staying alive during the next fight, Antlion, not a problem. But if you just get those wrong encounters on the way, Rydia especially can very easily get bopped, and that's where that safety life will really come in handy. So, and if it turns out they don't need it, they can just move it to the bottom and not even worry. So, Antlion. This fight was not super fun casually, but it is, if not the easiest boss fight, one of the easiest boss fights, because Antlion counters whenever you physical attack, but will not do that when you do a magic attack. And thankfully for us, those dancing daggers that we're using, when used as an item, count as a magic attack. So we just leave our big fearsome Dark Knight to defend, and let our poor squishy characters absolutely destroy Antlion. And usually it's between 3 and 4 dagger hits will kill Antlion, and it looks like in this case it was 4 hits for Couch, and Geno having to take some extra steps here on the inward charm room. Let's see if he has any more steps on the way out. Wow, he has 72 steps he's doing here right now. That is not a small amount. So
really hope I counted right.
Yeah, I hope so too. Yeah, while Couch has extra steps over, oh no, sorry, I think I have them mixed up here. No, I don't. Yeah, it looks like Geno. Geno has a better seed, but he has more steps he's got to take. So that's always fun. But now he is too going to fight Antlion. Now the fun thing about that save room is you saw Geno doing steps on the way in, and you're seeing Couch doing steps on the way out. And on those truly unfortunate encounter seeds, you get to do steps both ways. You're just like, why? Why encounter room? So it is Geno's turn to do Antlion, so let's see how this goes. Big thing to remember is to just make sure to equip Edward with the Dancing Dagger right away, and don't accidentally just mash A in this fight. You do not want to deal with the consequences if you accidentally hit with Cecil. Though thankfully, looks like everyone's Rydias were at good health anyways, so it wasn't an issue. Geno getting the 3-dagger kill, so that's going to save him a few seconds. But now that Couch is done, he is making his way back to Kaipo. And we're going to get another plot sequence there. And we're going to get a bit of an interesting fight, so we'll talk about that once we get there. But you know what one of the really difficult parts of this game is? Navigating that hovercraft. Those shoals, they are unforgiving if you're not used to it. So, unfortunately, the only thing you can do to make it easier is just practice. Just practice those shoals. Thankfully, while you're in a vehicle like a Chocobo or the Land Speeder or anything like that, it doesn't go towards your step count. So if you drive around like you've had a drink or two, not a problem. You are not going to pick up any extra steps. You're just going to lose some time, which you still don't want to do, but better a couple of extra seconds than losing your step count. Yeah, it really is. The eels, they're just not very nice. They try and catch a few on our way, but they're having none of it. So we made it back to Kaipo and gave our poor sick girlfriend the Sand Ruby. Don't ask how we gave it to her. We don't know either. It's magical. Just go with it. And she explains that Baron is just going full tilt for all 4 of the crystals. And there's 2 left, so it's very likely that next they are heading to Fabul. So as a party, they agree they're going to head to Fabul and try and warn them so they don't get bombed like Damsien. But Rosa's still sick, so they're going to spend the night. But Edward, he's still a bit sad. He did just lose his girlfriend or fiance, and so he wanted to play some music. He is a bard, but this water hag, he was having none of it. He did not like anything that Edward was playing. He wanted him to change the channel, play literally anything else, and but he didn't even want to ask. He just attacks. So this, casually, this is whole day to win. Who cares? In a speedrun, this used to be an incredibly terrifying fight, even though all you need to do is hit this water hag 3 times to win. Because with his harp and with not being in the middle position, Edward would have a pretty high miss chance, at least for Final Fantasy IV, and Water Hag could also miss. So you could either waste a lot of time in this fight, just missing back and forth. We have some interesting videos with that. Other versions of the game keep some of that bad accuracy. But in this version, with the dancing daggers and with him in the middle position, he has the Final Fantasy IV equivalent of 100% accuracy, so luckily he gets to push A to win, there's no dying chance, everything is beautiful. So he hits the water hag 3 times, and the water hag runs away, because he definitely doesn't kill it, because that water hag, for some reason, has 45,672 HP, because that's not excessive at all. But yeah, 3 hits, he's gone. Edward gets a few levels, which is nice. He supposedly gains courage from his poor dead girlfriend, who, even dead, has more courage than our poor Edward. But that's okay. We've got dancing daggers. That's all we need. So that being done, it is time to head back on our journey. Geno there, making sure to pause buffer during the speech parts. You saw Couch has parked right to the left of the mountain and just walked immediately over to the entrance. he has parked there specifically. If he does not leave his hovercraft in that exact same spot, the glitch at the end of the game will not work. That is one of the pieces of data that it reaches for. And I'll make sure to identify all of those pieces of data as they come across. But yeah, that hovercraft must be there. So, but we reach this mountain and find out, well, we knew in advance that it's actually covered with ice. And the only person in our party who could potentially even cast fire to melt it is terrified of fire because just after her mom was killed, her town got burned down, and she's 7. Thankfully, we've got the greatest grief or trauma counselor in this world, Rosa, there. So either with some kind words or some really good bribes, she has the best chocolate as well. She convinces Rydia that, no, you can totally use fire. So, Rydia learns fire, melts that ice wall, and away they go. The world's newest pyro has been born. And after all that trauma and all that effort, we're never going to use it again. We're, in fact, if the run goes the way it should, never going to use a fire spell again. So, it happens. Now, Couch is reaching the next boss fight, which is at the top of Mount Hobbs. We see this lone karate man fighting monsters all by himself. Now, the first part of this battle is these 3 imp captains, and we're not controlling the fight itself, but we do have the opportunity to manipulate it because this fight can run between 3 and 5 turns. And for very obvious reasons, we want a 3-turn fight. But it depends on whether Yang is going to agree with us, and he did. 3-turn Yang fight for Couch. But then comes the actual boss, which we, choose to help out with, which is Mom Bomb. Now, this boss comes in 3 phases. First phase is they're trying to do 800 damage to Mom Bomb, which is going to trigger her into her second phase, which I like to refer to as the Explodey Cloud phase. You'll see why in a moment when she switches. At the same time, they're trying to make sure that both Edward and Rydia stay at full HP until this form. We're gearing up for, just after that explode message came up, they made sure to be on Yang's turn so they could set Yang to kick. That is going to help kill this final phase, which is 3 gray bombs and 3 regular bombs. What we're looking for with that kick is to see which of the back's 2 bombs took the most damage, which in this case was the top bomb, because you're going to have Rosa aim and kill that one. The orange bombs have 50 HP and the gray bombs have 100 HP. So you need both Edward and Rydia with their dancing daggers in order to kill those gray bombs, and you need everyone else to handle the orange bombs. The ultimate goal of this battle is for Edward not to be dead. The kind of side goal and the faster for implementation goal is to have no one dead at the end of this battle. But all that having someone who's not Edward dead at the end of this fight, all that means is that it'll be a little bit different routing in the Fabul fights, which are coming up next. But really minor, it should be fine. Also getting a 3-turn Imp Captain fight for Geno. So that is excellent. So let's see how this goes. You would have seen both of them do a run buffer at the beginning of this fight. If done correctly, and if they get enough damage done to Mom Bomb fast enough, then she will only attack your party once, which of course is ideal when you're trying to keep your poor squishy people alive. So, as you see, Edward being low HP on Couch's screen is going into hide whenever he's in a battle. That is what he does in random encounters. But as you see in Geno's screen, and you would have seen on Couch's screen earlier, he does not do that in a boss fight. Remember that I said this, it's going to be relevant in about 5 minutes. For now though, it is time to kill us some bombs. Couch doing a safety save because he is a fairly low HP, and this walk to Fabul can be pretty scary, as it's one of the main spots where you can get 6 encounter packs with any sort of regularity, and if you get one of them and you get a surprise or back attack, such as Couch has right now, you can wipe. You can absolutely die on this walk to Fabul. So, seeing how much HP his party had, he definitely made sure to do a safety save there, which in that case is incredibly smart. He doesn't want to have to go back to when he did the mist clip in order to finish the run. Yeah, and again, anyone who has not seen this full run before, it is like, this part is definitely interesting, but the end is incredible. I highly encourage you to stay until the end, which will be in about, we'll start getting to the meat of it in about an hour. So, looks like Geno got out with everyone but Rosa alive, which again, so he's going to be in the same level issue as Couch, but both of their Edwards were alive, meaning they got the levels they needed to come to Fabul with as much HP as possible. So, what's going to happen here is they are starting what's called the Fabul Gauntlet. This is an incredibly scary part of the run, especially if you're new to it, because there's so much which can go wrong here. It's incredibly technical, and one wrong move and you are dead. DED, dead. Really not great. So, to explain this fight, you only are going to have Yang, Edward, and Cecil for these fights. And meaning you didn't buy any curative items because we're trying to save time, so you have no curing, no extra people, and Edward has only 100 HP. And he's our main damage dealer. To make this a little more interesting, even though the boss battle music is currently playing, Edward is, these are all coded as random encounters, not boss battles. So, you know what I mentioned about Edward and his hiding? If he, our main damage dealer, goes down into critical HP during this gauntlet, he is going to hide. And that is not something we're going to want to see. We kind of need him. If he goes into critical HP too early in this run, that could be it. So, wishing the best to both of our runners. Geno has also made it there. So, let's see how it goes. So the main strategy here is run buffer at the beginning of our fights, because we want to get these, especially in these general fights, of which we will have 3. We want to kill both of those fighters before they get a chance to attack, but ideally, even if they get a chance to attack, they'll just leave Edward alone, but, you know, we don't want to give them a chance if possible. In the Water Hag fight that Couch is doing right now, which we'll fight 2 of, we want to run buffer and have Edward attack the Weeper in the back. We want Cecil to attack the Water Hag as he has the weakness, and Yang to attack the leftover Imp Captain. And what you saw Couch there do with Yang is he actually did the item duplication glitch that we saw earlier in the game with Yang's Fire Claw, and then he re-equips the Fire Claw, but on the opposite hand, which will not ruin the duplication. So that's going to be incredibly important. So we'll talk a bit more about that later, but the general fight where we do this item duplication is the 4th fight out of 6. So Geno's on the 2nd fight, Couch is just finishing up the 3rd. So far, so good. Everyone, keep your thoughts with these runners. Both of them being incredibly experienced are likely not going to have much in the way of problems with this, but this is Final Fantasy IV. It likes to troll everybody, no matter how good you are. So, this gargoyle fight is not incredibly dangerous in the situation that Couch is in with everybody alive, but if you had the bad luck of getting Edward into a hide position now, that fight is really quite scary, because on the gargoyle's 3rd turn, it uses Weak, which lowers the HP of the targeted character down to single-digit HP. So if you already have Edward hiding, it's going to attack only like either Yang or Cecil. And so if you have 2 characters in single-digit HP and no healing items, well, you guys do the math. So, last I checked, Bearded Busker, that was towards kill, in fact, for kill the animals. So let us double check. I can check your donations for you, or check the donation tracker to see where those are lasting right now. I can't tell you, you know, anything more than that, but let's see what they're doing. Looks like, yeah, from what I'm seeing anyways, kill the animals is in the lead. So if you want to save those animals, get your donations in. I don't know when that run is, though.
Can we do the same to Yang, please?
Can we do which side?
Can we get rid of Yang too, please? He's...
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, one of the problems with these fights is sometimes, no matter how incredibly good Yang and Cecil should both be, they just decide we're gonna hit for 10, 12, 20, and it just becomes incredibly sad. So this fight that Couch is doing here is with Kane. It is a cutscene fight, but you can try and fight Kane, but it's a waste of time. What we want to do is between Kane's jump and Cecil's gonna attack himself, and between those two hits, if Cecil gets down into critical HP, you'll skip some text, and that is fast. So we want that. Unfortunately, it is purely RNG. We do not have a way to manipulate it yet, but I did see that Couch got that, so we'll see how it goes. Let's look at Geno's Kane fight and hope he has better RNG than apparently he's been having with Yang damage.
It's just FF4. Everything is gonna go wrong somehow.
Yep. It's what you have to get used to when you run FF4. Sometimes things just go wrong, and it's because FF4 hates you. I know I did a run earlier today, and I did thankfully PB, but I got the extra text because both Cecil and Kane went, nah, we don't want to hit you. They were feeling nice towards each other, which made me incredibly salty. So it was good. Both of them got their text skip, time saved. FF4 did not troll, or not troll as badly as it could. We'll see soon, though. There are plenty of trolling opportunities coming up, but we definitely hope they will not actually happen because, you know. So, since we have some cutscenes, let's go over what our plot is, shall we? So they made it to Fabul just in time to warn the king, but that was barely enough time because who should show up but the Red Wings in an army? And you try and help them defend, but unfortunately, you are not enough. And you pull back to the crystal room, and who should show up to, you know, you think to help, but Kane. Turns out, though, even though you were incredibly worried about your best friend, he's not there to help you. He is now on the bad side, he's had enough of this good business, and he takes your crystal. Not only that, the new commander of the Red Wings, Golbez, is also there, and he sees that both of our gentlemen, Cecil and Kane, really do find Rosa to be important, so he wants some leverage, so he takes her. Couch there on his screen, completing the item duplication with that fire club, but doing it one extra time. So instead of having 65,000 invisible fire claws, which would disappear as soon as he gets an encounter, by duplicating it an extra time, he gets a stack of 255 fire claws. And you saw that he equipped 256. And you saw he equipped not one, but two of those, leaving him with a stack of 254 fire claws. Also, incredibly important. We're gonna need that. That's also for the glitch coming up. But both of these runners are going to make sure to have that stack. Also, unfortunately, Rydia, she's not going to need that tiara anymore. So, I believe I saw Couch do it, and we may see Geno also do it. They removed that tiara from Rydia because we need it more than she does. You'll see why now. And we also made sure to immediately equip the black sword, which we received on Cecil, because it gives him a bonus, a +5 to agility, and he's going to want that extra bit of damage, or not damage, sorry, agility, to help the party run away from battles on Mount Ordeals, which is the next place coming up, because those fights are incredibly trolly, especially the back attacks, which are starting to become more common. So you definitely want to run from as many of those as possible, so we want that sword on immediately. So since we have to be in the menu anyways for either removing the tiara and duplicating that, it's only an extra second to just go into Cecil, re-equip it. So, the big plan of the day here for our intrepid adventurers is they are borrowing a boat from Fabul, and they're going to take the boat to Baron. They are going to sneak in, they're going to find Sid, and they're going to get themselves an airship. And once they have that, Golbez, who's this Golbez guy? They've got it. Unfortunately, things don't go quite as planned, and they encounter the Lord of the Sea, Leviathan. Oh, yeah, Geno's lucky enough to get extra Mysidia map steps, which I will definitely do that. And thank you for those who like my commentary. You can find me at Natara Zeviana at Twitch. I do my own runs as well. I had a lot of practice for this Final Fantasy IV tournament we just finished. So yeah, Lord of the Sea decides, he's just there trying to get a tan, and what should happen, but this boat comes along, and he's having none of it. He just doesn't want it, so he wrecks your boat, because you wrecked his tan. Rydia, being tiny, being 7, gets tossed overboard, and we have a bit of a debate in the community as to what happens next. Some of us believe that Yang, he's a big, powerful karate man. He's got to save that little girl, so he jumps in. But if you look carefully, it also kind of looks like Cecil, our big evil Dark Knight, pushes him in. Keep an eye on Geno's screen. You'll see it shortly. You decide for yourself how you want to interpret it. Needless to say, Cecil wakes up alone and decides he's gonna go and get some help. And the closest town here, to his dismay, is Mysidia. The same town which in the intro of the game he attacked with the Red Wings and stole the crystal. First off though, we're gonna see some item buying and some item selling, so very specific numbers here. You saw Cecil sell 2 stacks of 70 off that stack of 255 Fire Claws, so now we have a stack of 114 Fire Claws, which we're going to leave alone for a while. That's one of those items we're going to need for the end of game glitch. So he then also made sure to pick up items, like 70 of each item, because we need items anyways and we have lots of money. So let's use 70. Plus, I want to note this run is GP routed as well. So they're buying these stacks specifically to also make sure they have a certain amount of GP by the end. Yep, poor Rydia. I'll get behind that. Poor Rydia. And don't forget, also Yang. So we're gonna see the same thing here with Geno. And yeah, don't worry about it. We'll never see those guys again. So it's totally dead. So Cecil makes his way up to the Elder, and he's like, "Hi, I'm this Dark Knight who did some really nasty things to you, but guys, I'm totally reformed now. The world is in danger. We have to stop Baron. I know they're my peeps, but we really gotta stop them." And the Elder's like, "I hear what you're saying, but for very obvious reasons, we don't trust you whatsoever. So, a quest to prove that you are trustworthy. We have the Sacred Mountain, and if you can climb it, and at the top, you can become a paladin. And if you can become a paladin, we will definitely trust you and we'll help you, no problem." And Cecil's like, "I really don't have time for this. Did you not hear the world is in danger part?" And the Elder's like, "Did you not hear the paladin part?" So Cecil, seeing he has no choice, accepts. And the Elder then tells him, "Oh, and take these 2 5-year-old twins with you. They'll totally be a good help." And Cecil's like, "What?" So he gets saddled with more babysitting duty, which I've always thought was a little sketch. Because the Elder just got done saying, "We're not going to help you because we don't trust you. Oh, but here, can you babysit these kids, these children?" A bad move, Elder. I think he's trying to just eliminate all 3. Needless to say, though, they all take their journey to the Sacred Mountain, and as is the way of the first half of the game, there's another elemental wall. But these children, they aren't afraid. They're not afraid of ice, and they're not afraid of fire. So Palom, our ever-wonderful black mage, he takes care of it, no problem. But his sister, she doesn't really like how prideful he is, so she has a tendency of being a little, unfortunately, mean. And everyone's favorite scene at the bowling alley. Anyone who's familiar with this this game, or any other version of the game, that bowling ball you see at the top about to squish Rosa, in actually every other version of the game is actually a guillotine. So, but that didn't quite fly with the censors when Final Fantasy IV first came over here. So along with making the game easy, they did censor some things. and changed some bits, and I'll mention some of those as they come up, as they're going to start to become a little more prevalent. But yeah, one of them is the big bowling ball, or Pluto, or Cannonball. Definitely not more worrisome. But yeah, now the tough part is trying to climb the mountain. Now, if either of these runners were doing what we refer to as the mimic glitch, which is carrot when you're attacking Mylon and trash can when you're attacking Mylon Z, or carrot if you didn't do either on Mylon, they would be trying to make sure that Porum, the white mage, was killed or gotten into low HP before the Mylon fight. However, having spoken to both of these runners before the run, they have both stated that they are not going to be attempting Mimic Glitch on Mylon. Both of them are going to be doing what I refer to as twin strats. So I will talk about the Mimic Glitch a bit, as Geno will be using that on Mylon Z. But for now, guys, were you missing Tella? Did you kind of hope he would join us again? Because he's back! And he's here to stay. I don't know what he was doing. He's lost on a mountain. He's here to try and get the legendary spell of Meteor, which even our 5-year-old twins know is too powerful for him because, once again, he's old. So, but Tella, as Tella does, listens to no one. He's too busy being an angry old dude. So, they're like, okay, whatever, come with us. Better to have another person. We can maybe keep you safe, even though we're going back the way that you obviously just came from. So, we're not going to talk about that. So, we are reaching the summit here for Couch, and I want to note that sometimes for the Mimic Glitch, runners will choose whether they do carrot based on whether Porum takes the hits or not beforehand, and it looks like even though both runners said they're not doing it, both of their Palums have been killed or put into low HP. So that's incredibly exciting. You're just like, that's funny. FF4, why? Why would you not give us this when we need it? So Couch also did some equipping, which is important. And one of those things that they made sure to do is put the change rod on Palom. And the reasoning behind that is the change rod, and the tiara as well, but in this case the change rod, increases the magic multiplier. So, and we really want that. So they're going to be using the twin cast ability for both of the twins. And how it calculates damage is the twin, which is in the highest priority position, which in Final Fantasy IV is the middle position, it will take the stats of that twin to calculate the damage. So we want Palom with his change rod in the middle. Now, twin, it can cast 2 separate spells. It can either cast Flare, which we saw, and it has a 75% chance of happening. This is the spell we want. It costs only 10 MP, which is relevant, and does more damage to a single target, which Mylon is. The other spell, oh yes, I should have linked that in the channel, sorry about that. The other spell that twin can do is called Comet. It costs 20 MP, and it does more damage to multiple targets, which Mylon is not. So it doesn't do very much damage, and it costs more MP. And each of the twins only has 50 MP, so you kind of start to become at a danger of running out of MP if you get too many comets in this fight, which is incredibly not fun. So right now we have Couch getting through Mylon, which is great. We're going to see what strats he does next. And Geno just starting Mylon, so he is also doing the twin strats. So to explain the twin strats, oh, we're getting some piggies, my favorite. I'll explain that in a second. So twin strat is just using Cure 2s to get rid of all of the ghasts before Mylon sets them on you, and casting twin, usually just twice, and attacking with Cecil until Mylon is dead. It's beautiful. Mylon Z, multiple strategies for this fight. Unlike Mylon Z is undead, so you can use Cure 2s to attack and do an incredible amount of damage. The reason we've turned our party into this curious mix of piggies is because we're abusing the status ailment priority chart. And when Mylon Z attacks, his attacks inflict both poison and curse. However, the curse part of those attacks is glitched. So your characters don't actually get cursed, they just get poisoned. And on the status ailment priority chart, Piggy, it has higher priority than curse. So if you're pigged, you can't get cursed, meaning you can't get poisoned. So, yeah, it's incredibly slow to get poisoned because you get poison messages come up, and even if you have the fastest message speed for this battle, for some reason the message speed is really, truly incredibly slow. So, yeah, you don't want that at all. And so Couch's strategy here is just gonna toss Cure 2s or attack with Cecil and keep people alive. Now Geno's doing something a little more exciting. He's doing the Mimic glitch. And what this is we're going to abuse some timings and killing our own party members in order to use an item which is not supposed to be able to be thrown and actually throw it. And it has weird effects that it's not supposed to. Mylon Z down for Couch. So, Carrot, when tossed in this manner, it does, just watch him for a sec. Good, stop did not miss, so we should be good. Okay, I think we're tossing Trash Can here, which will do 8 times holy damage, which, Mylon Z is weak to, so it's the Trash Can. So, we had Palom kill his sister, but just before she died, she initiated the twin cast, which the twin who does not start the twin cast gets put into a mimic status. And so we then have Tella queue up a stop on Cecil, and providing he doesn't miss, as Tella tends to do, Piggy Pally on Couch's screen, then Cecil will have just enough time to half use an item, cancel that, and then swap that item with the item he wants to throw. Palom, in his mimic state, will then throw it, and it will have the effect. Carrot is 8 times Fire 3, which can be used on either Mylon or Mylon Z. But Trash Can is 8 times White, which is the holy element. So Mylon is not weak to that. So if you're using the Mimic strat on both of Mylon and Mylon Z, it must be Carrot and then Trash Can. But if you just do twin strats on Mylon, you can use either. But you already have the Trash Can, so might as well just use that. So went without a hitch for Geno, which is great, because that's a great time save for him, and it's a huge time loss if it doesn't go well. Also, I want to note, when you use the piggies, before this cutscene, Cecil walks into the cave and will stay a pig because he's the only one in that cutscene who's not listed as an NPC. So he gets to keep whatever he was in battle. So we get our piggy paladins. And one cool thing about our newly paladin Cecil is he can equip our wonderful dancing daggers. So this fight, you're supposed to just sit and wait for Dark Knight to get all preachy and be like, blah, 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 don't attack things, you know, there's a better way. And we're like, no. In this version, Dark Knight only has 1,000 HP. So between 3 or 4 dancing daggers, and he's dead, so we skip all that text. If you time it incorrectly, though, not super good. So, in the one of the runs which we do have on our boards, which is a meme run, but we just finished a tournament for it, we call it Paladin %, and it ends at the point where we just had that message where it says Cecil becomes a Paladin. So that's really neat, and it's a nice short. As you can see, they finished it in 1 hour and 1 minute. It can be finished in as little as 58 minutes, and there's also a couple of things they wouldn't have needed to do for that run, but we're not doing that run, so don't worry about it. We're continuing. So not only did Cecil manage to pass the test and become a Paladin, while doing this, lucky Tella, he learned Meteor, so nothing could possibly go wrong with that. It's definitely going to work really well. So in our Paladin tournament, one of the things we used to do when we were done, because we'd finish just before we'd get Meteor, is we'd implement one of the glitches, which you're going to see shortly, called the MP Underflow, which I'll explain how to do it once we get there, but it gives Tella way more MP than he's supposed to, and we'd do a victory Meteor, or a celebratory Meteor. So we'll get into that. But right now, we're doing our walk down the mountain with our shiny party, and you will notice before we fought Mylon Z, we did purposefully put our party, we swapped them. So Cecil was in the back and all of our squishy mages were in the front because Mylon Z was a back attack. But you will also note we haven't changed that. Don't worry, not a mistake. It's on purpose. We'll talk about that for our next, I won't say our next boss fight, but one of our next boss fights. So on Couch's screen now, you're now seeing these wonderful red bars. This is an overlay that we are accepted and you're allowed to use in official races. And what it is the next part of the endgame glitch that we're setting up has to do with where this chocobo that Couch is on right now leaves the screen, because how do you even figure out these glitches? So the top of his head needed to be not in a red zone, so Couch got what is referred to as a bad chocobo. So for right now, there's nothing he can do about that other than to be aware he got a bad chocobo. Later on in the game, much closer to the end, he is going to farm yellow chocobos until he gets a good chocobo. Why am I being buzzed? Yeah, bad bird. Jerkbirds. Jerkbirds are in this game too. Guys, jerkbirds are everywhere. So let's see if Geno gets a bit luckier with the bird. Because, oh, he moved his stream though, so he may have to move his overlay. Or he might be able to tell from there. Don't worry about it. Yeah, that bird did not care at all. Yes, it definitely does teach you the differences in the categories. So let's see what he gets here. To my eye, that looked good. It's the top of the chocobo, which is good. He will have more experience
It's
with
bad.
that. It was bad? Okay, cool.
Yeah, it
When
went
in doubt,
right, and it was the bottom right in the third little red bar.
Okay, cool. So when in doubt with those chocobos, if you're not sure if it was good or not, farm them, because it is, again, that is one of the things the glitch looks at the end, and if you have a bad chocobo, you're gonna lose. You're gonna do what's called, we refer to as bacon. We call it bacon because not only does the glitch make this excellent kind of sizzling noise, if you do soft lock, it will, one of the charts that we use to judge whether your in-game timer is good or not, it actually looks like a piece of bacon. So between the two, we refer to soft locking in the end of the game glitch as baconing. So if you don't have a good chocobo before you get to the end of game, you will bacon. Just full stop, period, run over. So you gotta pay attention to that. So this is my favorite any percent run because it is fairly technical like that, but there's a lot of resources which make it incredibly accessible, like the overlays, lots of different pictures which show you exactly, where to leave this item, where to leave this item. The guides tell you exactly what items to buy or sell, when to do it, and when relevant, where to put them in your inventory. So there's very little you need to remember, at least while you're learning. It's just when you start trying to get fast that you need to start knowing where this is. And by then, it's a 2-hour run. By that point, you've run this so many times, you're starting to really know it anyways. So we are on to our next set of battles here with Couch. He has reached Baron through the Serpent Road, and we're fighting these guards who just got set on us when we tried to talk to our buddy Yang there, who, surprise, is alive! Thank goodness! But he doesn't seem to recognize who we are. Both of the runners had extra steps in Serpent Road. So we just want to kill those guys with dancing daggers. But here, this Karate Man fight is kind of unique because Yang's just going to sit there and attack us for a while, but until he has kicked us twice, there's literally nothing we can do. We got to sit there and take it. But as soon as he's done it twice, then we can attack, just physical attack with Cecil. The funny part about this fight is Cecil doesn't actually have to hit. He can miss on that attack, and it's fine. It still triggers the cutscene, battle over. But you have to wait until that second kick has been completed to do it. And it must be Cecil that attacks, otherwise it doesn't end the fight. So, as you saw, Couch took a bit of extra time to do some inventory management. It was a couple of extra seconds there, but that is going to save him some time later, because it gets everything where it needs to be. he did make sure Geno there equipped the Legend Sword back on Cecil, as that is going to be needed for one of our next 2 boss battles. But for now...
Oh, I was just screwing around. You need the Aeron for a big gun.
Okay, I thought you did too, but
I was just,
so I was like,
yeah,
okay, cool.
just messing around.
Okay, cool.
Also, Ghost Girl.
Ghost Girl. Okay, so whenever you finish this fight, the NPCs just freeze where they are. And the game, they luckily thought about this, and they don't want to soft lock the game because an NPC is in your way, so you just walk right through her. If you know, well, it's not so much if you plan it correctly, but if the NPCs are in the right spot, you can walk through as many as 2 NPCs on that auto walk. It's pretty fun. So, now that we have Yang back in our party, he just happened to have this Baron key in his pocket, so we can unlock the item store, which is going to be important because these are some of our important items that we're going to need for the glitch. So you're going to see some interesting numbers of like stacks of items being purchased, but again, that is on purpose. We need those exact stacks and in those exact numbers in order to make the glitch work later. So if you didn't remember to sell your 2 stacks of 70 Fire Claws in earlier when you were buying things in Mysidia, you can do it right here. So waste a little bit of time, but it's not drastic. The headbands and the karate, neither of those are part of the glitch, but they're really important for battles as they are much faster than regular armor. So you want to have those equipped, and you're going to see us pretty rapidly equipping them on basically everyone who doesn't use magic, because we want anyone using magic to use those Gaias that we picked up in Mysidia. So using our wonderful Baron key, unlocking doors, and walking underground. Nothing too exciting here in the underground waterway. Biggest thing is you just have to learn where to walk and keep on your step route. There is a save room in here, but we're not going to use it. We're not going to pick up any of the chests. We're just going to hope and pray that the encounters are nice. Yes?
Actually, I have to use it.
Oh, unless you need to take extra steps.
Yep.
So, you need to take extra steps, you need to use that save room. But otherwise, for actual saving purposes, we don't use that. We ain't got time for that. Too slow. But you know what also is too slow? Donations, guys! Come on, this is an awesome speedrun going towards an awesome cause, and there's some really cool donation incentives coming up for a lot of our runs, and some bid wars, such as save and kill the animals for Super Metroid. Kill is currently winning, so if you do want to save those animals, gotta get your donations in, otherwise they're gonna be dead. There's a donation there for the Kulix fight in Super Mario RPG done by Pidge Zero. You're definitely going to want to see that too. That's a fun, and it's very related to this Final Fantasy IV run, as Kulix has the 4 crystals and plays the Final Fantasy IV boss theme. So even as much as $1 can really go a long way, because these are charities which can use it, and in this case, it's getting clean water to people who don't have any. So do what you can, and if not, get the word out. That helps too. This is going on all weekend with so many fun runs. But for now, it's time to start getting ready for our next boss fight. Now, some of you who were here earlier may remember me talking about an MP underflow. Well, you're going to see that put into use now, once Couch is done equipping. So, and you're going to see again the headbands and karate. So what we want to do is we want to use more magic than he has. So we use up Cure 4, and then it's just a matter of you click on the spell you want to use, you try and swap its place with either an empty space or a spell you can use, and it's frame perfect, so you just have to keep trying until you get it. And once you do, the Tele suddenly has Boomerang 06 MP. These games, especially like Final Fantasy IV, they don't like negative numbers, so instead of giving you negative, when you underflow, you roll back around, so you have, I don't actually know the exact number of MP, but way more than you're going to need. And you know how much we have enough for? Medio. So we're actually going to use this. Now, the fun strategy of this fight is the only people who are really critically important are Cecil and Tella. And the reasoning for this is Cecil needs to keep Tella alive and Tella needs to cast Media. But what is also important is making sure that our twins and Yang are dead. We want them dead before this is Reason being is we're doing some experience routing to set us up for the next fiend we're going to fight, Valvalis, the Fiend of Wind. We need Kane, when he rejoins us, spoilers, to be at level 19, but we gotta kill off some people in order to make sure that happens, because any character you've had who is going to come back into your party later but who's not currently in it forms a shadow party, and they still gain experience as you go. So we're purposely manipulating that to make sure they get more experience, specifically Kane, so he can be level 19. If he is less than level 19, he will not be quite fast enough to make that fight go well. You can still complete it, there are strategies for it, but it won't be a very nice fight. Well done Val fight is a beautiful thing to see. But I lied when I said the next Fiend fight, because the next Fiend fight is Kainazo, which we're going to fight right now. And you will see that they both brought back Yang for this fight, but they didn't bother to heal him. Reason being is, we just need him to hit Kainazo once.
I'm gonna try something kind of rarely seen, so if it works, well...
I think I heard you talking about it. I'll keep an eye out, see what you're doing. But, on Couch's screen, Kainazo's about to do a wave. Oh, he did not get Yang dead. That's okay. Yang being alive is somewhat okay. The reason we got those extra hits in is because we have Tella in our party, and we did lightning 3 because it's faster than Meteor. And as such, we want that. But because Tella is Tella, he cannot roll enough damage to actually kill Kainazo. And
there's the proof.
Yeah, you're gonna see it right now. Yeah, see, he didn't do. And even with the extra hits from Cecil and Yang, wasn't enough to kill him. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of extra damage, which is totally fine. We can totally kill him off there. Luckily, it's probably just gonna take an extra hit or two from Cecil and Yang. But often in this case, what you have to do... Oh, excellent. It just needed an extra hit. So what sometimes you end up having to do is do another lit 3 with Tella. So that is another one of those circumstances where we refer to it as being Tella-lifed. So thank you, Tella, for absolutely nothing, as usual. We had to see it at least once in here. But we have defeated the Fiend of Water. Sid shows up because he's having none of it. He is done. He's gonna save the day, but we've already saved the day. But in turn, he's definitely gonna help. Yang lives in your experience route. Aha! Okay, cool. Couch is doing a bit of a different experience route than I do, so that's totally fine. Where they're alive and dead varies. As long as you know your route, you're fine. But yeah, Sid shows up and he meets all the new pals and he's like, well guys, if you're here to save the world, I'm here to save the world too! Let's go! And unfortunately guys, we're in an RPG and we've just picked up one extra character than our party can hold, so what's gotta happen? We gotta eliminate some. So our poor, useful, adorable twins gotta go. So they have been turned to stone in order to save our lives in a wonderful plot contrivance. But that's okay. It's good. We don't need them anymore. We can handle it. And if you're watching our chat, you're seeing both Geno and Couch talking about a reminder to mash a certain button, and that they're gonna mash X to win. What they are referencing is the potential to soft lock. They are about to get their airship, and when they do, you go through a cutscene, and you can actually mash through the text in this game with basically any button. I think other than the direction buttons. And or maybe, actually I think you can even do it with some of the direction buttons. I think like start and select are some of the only ones you can't. And one of the good ones that people sometimes use is X, which is also the menu button. However, in this particular cutscene, if you are mashing X through the text and you are mashing text when it ends, if you happen to be pressing X on that right frame, you soft lock the game. That's it, you're done. So it's one of the reasons why in this game we do not mash X. We do not want that X soft lock. So frequently A, B, or Y are common ones, though you want to be careful with mashing B, as we've been known to say no to the King and Fabul, and then you walk right back out of the room. or you have to walk out of the room to trigger the cutscene again, so that's a time waste. I know personally I mash with Y because it doesn't really do anything. Oh yeah, you walk out and he forgets you were even here. It's that king. That's selective amnesia. So for now, Kane showed up and he's like, well, we can totally help you out. We've got this Rosa chick you want, and we'll give her back. But you gotta give us the Earth Crystal. And we're like, excuse me? And he's like, yep. Deal or no deal. So, obviously we're gonna pick a deal because, we're good guys. So, it's at the end of that cutscene there that you do not want to be mashing X. So, yeah, looks like we're fine. So, or at the end of this one. So, I'm sure both of our runners are totally fine. No problems whatsoever. And off we go to the hardest part of the game. Oh my goodness, that was so beautiful. It looked easy. Couch just parked beautifully. First time. So that parking, it's the only spot you can park there, or the spot you want to park, and hardest part of the game, guys. It is so hard to park. Yeah. No deal. And next, when you're playing this casually, usually you would go up and talk to the ladies, and they would tell you the story, how the Earth Crystal's already been stolen by the Dark Elf, but we don't actually need that trigger. Talking to Edward here, this is our trigger. Yeah, that was an amazing landing. I'm so happy I got to see that. So, we see another one of our guys is alive, but unlike Yang, Edward's not doing so good. He traveled a lot further. Oh, Geno just off. Oh, but still got it really easily. Because these guys are just that good. So he explains that, you guys are gonna go fight Dark Elf? Take my twin harp here. You're gonna need it. So next step is we're gonna use Ether on, Tella. The reasoning for that is, as awesome as our MP Underflow is, while we're in that status, it means, Tella can't use magic outside of battle, and walking slow. We ain't got time for walking. So we're going to use exit. We're going to use an ether, go back to our regular pitiful 90 MP, and we're going to just exit. And no problem. Easy peasy. So now we do a walk to our next Chocobo Forest. This one mandatory. For again, if you are familiar with this game at all, in order to get to the next area, you need a black chocobo. So, the next one of the also hardest things is getting one of those black chocobos. But again, couch, not a problem. Easy peasy, getting a black chocobo and parking it right away. So, I'm sure Geno will do just as well. Now, in this cave, you are not supposed to have any metal equipped, because any character who has metal equipped will be paralyzed. But, we're not planning to fight these battles anyways, so, as long as you don't touch Sid's equipment, he has no metal equipped by default, so we're gonna leave him that way. But we are also going to leave, everyone else with their metal equipped, because it doesn't matter. As long as Sid is alive, he can still run. I didn't see there. Did you get a good chocobo? There, Geno?
No, I didn't.
No, he did not. No, it did not look good. So
Was that good?
The second one?
Chat, tell me if it was good, please.
Oh, second one was good. Second one was
okay.
beautiful.
Okay, good.
There is no mistaking how good that was. Chat, you can tell us too. Feel free to weigh in.
Yeah, my thing was covering it, so.
Gotcha. No, it was beautiful. So usually that's not the spot where you farm the yellow chocobo, because it is just so difficult to catch chocobos in that forest at all, because it's so big. But Geno ain't got time for waiting, and he got yellow chocobos and his black chocobo like a champ. So easy peasy every time. So he got his good chocobo, but he does still have his chocobo. Yeah, it's gone. Okay, good. So he's got his good chocobo now, so he doesn't have to worry about that until later, while Couch still needs to farm another one. Sadly, black chocobo does not count. Not for that anyways. He's going to count for something a little more special later. So they're doing their walk through this magnetic cave, and hoping nothing happens to Sid. Knocking on wood that we're not going to commentary curse anyone.
Also, I have to do 4th floor steps, which would look like they're mistakes, but believe me, they're not.
Okay, cool. Okay, beautiful. That'll be great. So,
anytime we say something isn't a mistake, it's only 70% a mistake.
yeah, only 70% a mistake. So, Couch is doing something really important here, and he made sure to, he finally did the equip on Sid, and he put on that iron gauntlet that you may remember we stole from Kane right at the beginning of the game. Oh my god! Couch! Couch! You perished! Oh, but guys, don't worry, it's fine. We meant to do that. So, you can try and fight that battle and just struggle and wait to die that way, but that's slow. We don't want slow things. So, by equipping the metal gauntlet onto Sid and making sure everyone has metal and is paralyzed, you can't move, so the battle, you're done. It quits. Thankfully, you had to die there anyways, so, you're set. So, next up, Edward to save the day. He is gonna crawl on his hands and knees, not gonna let anyone help him because he has got this, and he is gonna play his wonderful harp. And Dark Elf, even though he is the true hero of this game, he doesn't like the music either. This game should be subtitled Final Fantasy IV. No one likes your music, Edward. Because they don't. Anytime he plays, something awful happens. He gets attacked, bad things happen.
What?
What?
That's...
Oh, Sid! Oh, it's Yang! Yang doesn't have anything metal on.
That's very weird.
That is very weird. I don't know what you didn't equip. Oh, did you not equip the silver on him?
I don't get silver. Oh, I did wave skip. Well, that's something.
Yeah.
Alright, don't do wave skip. Lesson learned.
Lesson learned, yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's not. It loses him a bit of time. Now, this battle with Dark Elf, it's really interesting because we get everyone attacking first, and then Tella, in what looks like a mishap, uses virus on our very own Sid. Nope, not a mishap. This is more experience routing. We don't need Sid for this battle, and we definitely don't want him getting experience. We do need Tella alive, though, which is why they made sure to take the turn to cure him. So for some reason, when Dark Elf swaps forms, he loses his boss flag, which usually protects the boss against spells like, weak, which brings you down to single-digit HP. So, we use weak on his second form, and a singular hit kills him. Done. Easy peasy. We have got this.
Because this is a marathon run and all, I might as well show something cool off in a Dark Elf fight.
Okay, we're gonna get some swag here. And Couch also did a very important thing, and that was he did not forget to pick up the Earth Crystal. You can actually walk right out of this cave without the Earth Crystal, but then you're not gonna be able to trigger things, so that's bad. Then he's gonna exit out. So let's see what Geno's gonna do here while Couch makes his way back. I'm gonna kinda double keep an eye out because he's about to do something important too, though he's got a different party order than usual. Is that the weird thing you're doing?
Nope. Oh, Cecil Week, perfect.
Intriguing. So we are getting our black chocobo back in the forest with Couch, and this is really important because we need to park it right there. Anywhere in that line, we have a specific document again that shows you exactly where. Is safe, but the glitch, once again, it comes and it looks for it. It goes, hey, where did you park that black chocobo again? Or do you have one parked? And providing you have parked it there, you're totally fine, not a problem in that line. So, but if not, again, you're gonna bacon, that's it, run over. So, he has done that. HP ran out. Did you buy? So what it looks like he did there is he cast a virus on a Dark Elf, which didn't do any damage itself, but did poison Dark Elf. So Dark Elf died by poison. You're a mean person, Geno. Poor Dark Elf just wanted to celebrate his lack of pants, and you poisoned him.
Rivers didn't want me to, so I had to do it.
You had to do it, yeah. HP bleed for the win, so definitely a little slower to do it that way, but definitely got some swag going on. So next step, we are heading to the Tower of Zot. So Geno doing some curing up right now before he does his exit, but we have Cecil right here in Tower of Zot. Now, this tower is kind of our back attack tower. It is really quite mean. So we want both Tella and Cecil alive and at full HP at basically all times, because otherwise you can die. Because we're just getting to that point of the game where, oh, you do one thing wrong, you die. So, who's winning? Currently Couch is winning, but probably not for... It's still anyone's race because this is FF4 and anything can happen. But I do want to note, in the screen where Couch is right now, in the Japanese version, and I think other versions, there are actually more ceilings, so it's harder to see where you're going, but apparently rooms are too hard for us too, so they easied it up a bit for us. And got rid of those. Yeah, it is still incredibly close. Geno just got done parking his black chocobo, and Couch just making sure his HP is good before he opened this monster chest. Now, we definitely need to kill our flame dog, and often you don't necessarily need to have Yang alive in this fight, or you can, and then you can kill him in the fight. I personally just walk in with him dead, but depends on your strategy and your experience route. It's safer, I think, to have him at the beginning alive, but all we need to do is survive and use Ice 2 with the remaining MP. If you have used your MP correctly with Tella, as he's not MP underflowed, you had exactly enough to do that. Or maybe not exactly enough, but you definitely had enough to do Ice 2. Excellent. You're down to 10 MP. Everything is great. And now he is safe to MP underflow again, as we're going to need that. And another really important thing that Couch did is he actually picked up and took the fire sword with him, which was contained in that chest. A good way to kill your run is to press the B button and leave that behind. Because you're done. The fire sword is gone, and you're really going to need the damage. I don't know that it kills your run, but it incredibly slows your run down because it's going to do some really good damage coming up. So, about 10-15 minutes until dulls, depending on how these go. You have not seen these Mega Sisters when they go wrong. It is incredible. Well, I wouldn't say it's incredibly possible, but sometimes the turn order, the ATB, just doesn't play nice, and they kill Tella, and that goes pretty poorly. So, but yes, probably not until around dulls and stuff where, yeah, once the leaders pass dulls, but again, so much can change in this run, even in the glitch, because so much can happen. If your in-game time isn't just right, if your money isn't just right, so, and even here, if they experienced routed incorrectly and they get an 18 cane, someone's either going to get way ahead or way behind. So, again, and it's back attacks as well. Someone could have more encounters, but if the person who has less encounters has more back attacks, you're evening that out. So, yeah, this is FF4, and especially with how close these guys are, it really, truly is still anyone's game. Wow.
I got awful luck there.
You just got owned by Flame Dog. Luckily, Ice won.
Okay.
Is Ice won enough?
He only had 400 left.
Oh gosh. Oh,
It's probably gonna look like shit because
like, what are
they
you doing?
force you to use 1500.
Oh.
And then you didn't cure.
I don't even
Tella
use
can't
1500 bit rate.
Oh no, he can't.
Well, you're
Oh.
streaming
But
like
yeah, but you're not
Tella
streaming
gains
like
level,
19,
that's right.
20.
I have to
Oh,
stream at
no.
60. And
Yeah, when Tella gains a level, he can't run.
Mm.
Oh boy. So what just happened there is
I'm still streaming at
unfortunately
30.
safety saving, and he did not cure people up before.
I don't think my stream looks
and
like
Tello
that bad.
is really bad at running, especially when he gains that level, because
I use
Tello's
like
stats go down
1200.
because he's old, and so he died. So that's it for Geno, I think. Really good run up till then, though. To explain what's happening on Couch's screen is we are fighting the Mega Sisters. who are
Funky's Game Shark
kinda
is
difficult,
broken.
but,
Rip Punkation.
You should look at his stream right now.
As Medio. I think you can do that.
Right now? But I'm
I was
practicing.
like, oh good, I'm glad he had
Yeah,
that
right
cure
now?
cue ready, because I was like, please don't say I commentator cursed him. So again, that's what I
never
mean.
mind,
If
it
that
went
had
away.
been just 4 more
Well,
damage, Tella would've been
The
dead,
second
and I
I
would've been
move my
satisfied.
hand from my
So,
controller
but,
to my...
that is done, and it is beautiful. I did
Mario
not
was
check whether
compressed
Couch
into, like-
did an item duplication on his fire sword.
why am I fucking...
He was compressed
What
into
do you
like a
mean, what are we
beam.
hearing?
Oh, right, because they have mine.
Oh, they have your sound. Yeah, you might wanna... Okay, you might want to mute your... Or I don't know if they can mute you, Geno.
I might be able to do something.
Yeah, me muting you
What
doesn't
level
do
should I
anything.
do?
So we get our cutscene here where even though Tella has used
What level? I don't know.
things
But
multiple
at the level
times...
you're gonna fuck up the most, you should practice
Oh,
tutorial
I
skills.
understand.
I already did.
Yeah.
I
You
think
should
I
practice, Erwin.
because we're getting your sound.
Orange
right?
Fortress.
Can you turn off the
I already
game?
practiced
Yeah,
that
I
part
think
already,
I
too.
And you've
just
got to
did.
turn off the
I've done
sound on
ring
the
skip,
screen.
tutorial skip, shadow skip.
You should try to
Does he have
do
audio?
fight skip
His
RTA.
computer's really...
Wait,
so I
which
don't
one?
know that he can.
The one
So
that
what's
I
our
just
answer
found
here?
the other day.
So if you can mute, like if you're
No,
watching
you
the
should go to
stream, can you
Banny
please mute it?
Canyon. I'm
not.
trying to figure out how I got on that huge
you're not watching
window.
it?
No.
Okay.
No.
And I think as
'Cause I
long
got
as you
on there
stay in the
with
Discord
Moondrum,
with
and that's
me,
basically
everything
the
is
same.
fine. Chat, let us know.
It's
things
actually
are good.
really
Yes,
cool.
yeah, you don't
There's
have
like an
game
out of
audio from
bounds and like
Couch's
several
running
invisible
a non-ideal
seams.
setup, so we are not going to be able to get sound from him.
It's kind of weird that it even
sorry,
has
guys.
collision. It's the only thing in that area.
Yeah,
You'll just have to
like
listen
the
to my
only reason I
dulcet
thought it might be
tones for another,
possible is
like,
because that
30
thing had
minutes.
It
collision.
would have been
Alright.
so cool
Just
if
because the
nothing
run
had
killed me
collision,
doesn't
but the
mean
level end
we're out of
trigger
this
was still
yet.
there.
I'll do
That would be
something about it.
amazing.
You wouldn't be able to make
We
it
got
all
a
the way.
backup plan.
But if you could
Yeah,
somehow,
okay, you're still hearing
Yeah.
stuff, good.
that would be awesome.
It'd be cool if everything was just solid and you just skip 6
Yeah,
minutes of the
so,
game and
Yeah.
pass. I am
Skipping-
still
Okay, at
I
least
would-
so
you're
salty about
still
that.
hearing stuff. That's... Are you guys hearing,
You
like,
have
extra
no
stuff? I
idea
know we're
how
in the setup
excited I
room.
was when I found
It
out I
sounds
could get
like
to that
someone
windmill,
else's
and then
stream.
like I found out I couldn't get the skip, and I almost
I
like
don't know where
killed
you guys are
someone.
getting that.
Yeah, this game's kind of stupid.
Also,
That was
I don't
like the
understand,
biggest
so I
skip
can't-
in Pac-Man World 3 history. Just gone because you know.
When you
the
said
gra-
5 minutes, I thought you were talking about a different skip, but you actually would have skipped.
I have no audio
Yeah,
in OBS,
it was
so
like a 6-minute
No,
skip.
it's not.
It
We're
would have
hearing
taken like
other
literally
runners
a
from
minute.
somewhere else, and
Or,
they're
no,
not
it would
in
have
our
taken.
Discord, so it's
would have
not
taken
coming
like
from the
40
Discord.
seconds from
Discord
start to finish,
itself
probably.
And our restreamer.
I would
Someone's
not
got an
mind.
extra tab.
I
started my
You're the only
RTO.
one
I
with
kinda
sound
mind
coming
a level
through,
being
so do you have an
gone,
extra
but-
tab somewhere?
At the
It's
same
not
time,
gonna
it's
be
a
a
bad
level, it's
level.
been-
so it's
Like that would have been so
We have a huge
insane because
sound.
you would have
I'll
literally, you know, like when you start climbing up and there's like that collapsed, like I guess like cave entrance before you go off to the
yeah. Like,
left
if you say nothing, then OBS is
from the
absolutely
beginning of the
quiet.
level.
Yeah.
There's an out of bounds there that's really
We're getting
cool,
stuff
and there's
to
like
the
a
stream, though, I
seam,
can
and then there's
confirm.
another seam you will jump to, and then another one you jump
then
to,
I'm
and
really
another one, and
quiet
another
over
one,
there
and then there's just
somehow,
like
so
this really
something is
long
going
seam for no
wrong.
reason. Basically,
Setup,
I'm really pissed because it would have been like the coolest trick in the run,
ping Steven.
and it would have saved the most
Ping,
time.
Ping, help. Okay. We're trying to get this fixed, guys. I will just try and talk much louder, but I know you guys can't hear me.
Hold up. I got an answer for you. Let's see if this helps.
Yeah, because if you guys can't hear me... Okay, we're working on it. I'm just going to keep talking, and you guys can tell me when you can hear me again. Okay, good. That sounds good. Can we hear me, though? I'm gonna get... I'm muting so I can double hear myself. It'll be great. Okay, good. We've got me now, though. So great. You can hear me instead of sound, so that's the important thing. So, even though we had our MP underflow and we used Meteor like a bunch of times, apparently Tella can't handle casting it against Golbez, and he perished. He is one of the only ones. Yes. Good. Excellent. Sorry. The sound is on purpose. We have no game audio. Couch is using a backup setup, and his machine can handle the game audio. So apologies, but it's just me. But that's okay. I'm gonna talk enough that you're not even gonna miss it. Don't worry about it. So we're in the Val Valis fight. So I'm gonna assume that Kane is level 19 because Couch knows his stuff. And with this, the key point is to make sure that Cecil stays at full HP or as close to that as possible. And as a paladin, he will automatically cover and take the hits, the physical hits, for anyone who is in critical HP, which is generally going to be everyone. We're going to have Kane constantly jumping, and if the timings are done correct, Yeah, sorry guys, there's no game audio. We know this. There's not going to be game audio. Sorry. So Kane's gonna keep jumping. If the timings are correct, he will come down in a jump, basically just as she goes into her tornado form, and it's gonna be beautiful. Rosa, she had a really important job at the beginning of this fight, and that was to cast slow twice on Val. And we really needed that because we got to slow Val down. She is not very fast, or sorry, she is pretty fast, and we want to do everything we can to try and survive. Apologies for any sort of lag here. Again, Couch is on a backup setup, so his machine is doing incredibly well considering. And we're getting there. We're getting through the run, so... You see people are at critical HP and they're turning to stone, but don't worry about it. One of the reasons we wanted the Flame Sword is for the amount of damage that we're seeing Kane doing on those jumps on Val, because he is equipped with the Fire Sword, and the damage is beautiful. I'm not sure if it's because she has a weakness to it. I'm assuming she does. Either way, though, once Rosa is done casting the slows on Val, her job is to keep Cecil nice and full so nobody else dies. Nobody else has to die. So, he himself will just throw dancing daggers, and blam, Val is done. Easy peasy, looks beautiful, but in fact that is one of the hardest fights in this round, especially to do it well. But I had no doubt. So with that done, we are done the main section of this game. We are now heading into the final 2 boss fights, with which we will immediately go into our exciting glitch. So, but for now, we're in cutscene land, so let's catch up on what happened here, shall we? We finally got to the top of the tower, and we went to try and save Rosa, but Golbez and Kane were in the way, and Tella, in his usual manner, as soon as he saw Golbez, he was like, I don't listen to anyone, I'm filled with anger and rage, I'm gonna take this guy out, I've got Meteor, no problem, and if I die to do it, well, I'm dead. So, what happened, unfortunately, is that he did cast Meteor, he did die, and Golbez didn't die. However, the shock was enough that it did happen to, knock Kane out of his stupor, and you find out he was actually brainwashed, so he joins you again, and, you get there just in time to save Rosa from a quite grisly death, but as you're trying to leave with her, you get attacked by the third fiend, elemental fiend, Valis, and you take her out, no problem. But the tower then starts to collapse, so you exit, you go back to Baron, and in the same way Yang did earlier, Kane has discovered he has this magma key on him. So, and that actually, you know those 4 crystals that were just stolen? That's pretty terrible and all, but there's 4 more crystals, and it's going to be a really bad scene if those also get stolen. But they're underground. So, we're going to have to go and do something about that. But first, we need to do something about that bad chocobo that Couch got earlier, which is why we see our overlay again. Now, since we've got the chocobo forest right here, and those chocobos are much easier to catch, that was good. So, to me, that looked like a good chocobo, because again, it's the top of the head for the chocobo that matters. So yeah, he did that, and a good chocobo, he is done, though his overlay is still up. I'm not sure if he can hear me or not, so hopefully he'll remember to remove it. If not, we'll have these extra line party. I'll type couch overlay heart. So we'll have no problems there. So now you toss the key down the well, and what happens? But we explode a mountain. Dude, we're awesome. So it turns out this is the entryway to the underworld. This town is, they hear rumors that their ancestors were actually dwarves. You're like, really? That sounds neat. So as payment and thanks, we're gonna blow up your mountain, because we're good people. And so now it's time to go to the underworld. This is the point in this run where you want to, if you're newer to it, you want to make sure you have all of the specific items you need purchased, and all of that done, because while there are things you can fix here in the underworld, when it comes to your specific stacks of items and whatnot, as soon as you enter the underworld, as you can see here, you get a cutscene, and you no longer can use your airship for the rest of this run. So if you don't have the items you need to do your glitch, you're done. That's it. So, but I'm pretty sure everything is fine here, so we have nothing to worry about. And it's not many frames. It's only a few frames, Couch. You're fine. Also, let's get some follows going on here. Oh, I can't because they won't let me link in here, so don't worry about it. If you want to follow our runners, you can find them at GenoKirby at Twitch, and you can at couch_23 for there. And for myself, it's Natara Zeviana, NETARAXEVIANA, because X's are cool. Just go with it. And we are all frequent streamers of the Final Fantasy IV and other such stream running communities. Now, here is where some cool stuff happens. So Sid, he's been in his airships too much, so we've decided he needs a bit of a stair workout. There are going to be, I'm only going to say a number once because Couch needs to count here and I don't know if he can hear me, 63. So we are going to do that number of stairs, and we were already at a certain number when we started here. So we're going to be going up these stairs until we reach that number. I will talk about numbers more once he is done doing his stairs, because even missing one flight of stairs will glitch things out. So what the reasoning for this is, we are overriding the map triggers. Once you do so many of these, instead of needing to leave the castle to go to the map, we're going to trick it into thinking somewhere else is the map. And I'm not going to spoil it, it's great, but let me tell you, it's beautiful what we do here to this game. So yeah, nothing but unprecedented crisis, guys, which is a ROM hack for Final Fantasy IV. Pretty darn cool. Yeah, we also have a really big community for Final Fantasy IV and our different runs. Our two main runs that we have are the any % no CW or no credit warp that we're currently doing here right now, and the other one, which does not do this special glitch, is called No 64, which I said a number again like a monster. And that one does not do this glitch and does play the last third of the game. So it's more technical again because there's more experience routing, there's a grind fight. You actually have to fight the last of the 4 fiends, our favorite, Rubicante. And there's a lot of really fun things in there. It's not my personal favorite. So, Couch is done. As soon as he stepped into the throne room the first time, he was on floor 3. So from there, he just started counting. And no, we got about 5 minutes until the game freaks out. We've got a boss and a half. Well, technically 2 bosses, but 1 full boss until then. But yes, we have officially stepped into Glitchland. We can fix the steps if they were wrong, but it is time consuming, so we don't want to do that. We ain't got time for that. But instead, it is time for everybody except for Natara's favorite creepy doll fight. I am really bad at this doll fight. What we're aiming to do is once the battle starts, there will be 6 dolls. And if you 3 blue and 3 red, and if you time killing each of these dolls correctly, you will prevent them from merging into the big doll, the Calcabrina doll, which we lovingly refer to as Big Doll, after Big Fong Balls, who tended to get the big doll a lot. I'm following in his footsteps, as I get Big Doll almost every time I run it. And a lot of people argue that this is some of the best music in the game. I personally disagree, but it's definitely it's really interesting music. I just don't like it. So, strategy here is we're going to be having Kane jump at the blue ones and Cecil dancing daggering the front ones. Rosa is going to slow all of them, and Yang is going to do a kick. Where things get interesting is after Rosa has done the slow, we're going to start setting up, because immediately after this fight, we have another boss battle immediately. Well, we are setting up for that at the same time. So we're kind of keeping a close eye on damages. So if all the damage kind of works out correctly between Kane's attacks and Cecil's dancing daggers and Yang's kicks, we'll have all but 2 dead. And we just set up Rosa for something here. We're gonna mute our party. For anyone who is here from Mylon Z, you heard me talk about the status ailment priority chart. Please remember that for a minute. We'll get back to that in our next fight. For now, though, we're keeping a close eye on these dolls because they're jerks. And again, if you do not kill those last 2 at the same time, they will merge, and everyone cries, and there's sadness and tears. Intriguing. That is a really good strategy. I'm kind of looking here myself. It's always great to watch the runners who are really good, because you see there, what he did is he attacked with the dancing dagger on the blue doll first, and then waited a bit on for Kane to get his ATB before attacking with the dancing dagger on the front one. That just ensured that no matter what damage roll Kane got with his jump, that back doll would die, because those blue dolls have a lot more damage. So, doll fight done. We've saved the crystal, right? No, because Golbez is here, and he's not very nice. And he is going to make sure he gets the crystal. So it's time to fight Golbez, but everyone's muted. What's that about? So in this battle, you are supposed to get pretty promptly stopped. You are frozen, you can't move. But with the status ailment priority chart, mute is higher than paralyzed. So as long as you are muted, you can't be paralyzed. So what should be a boring, not so much fun, threatening cutscene, we're getting things done. And the first thing you saw Couch do is you saw him toss Kane with a run buffer immediately into a jump. That is really critical for part of this fight, which is going to be the Rydia skip. In the meantime now, though, he was doing a lot of inventory maintenance there, and that is specifically, he was moving those specific stacks of items he bought earlier into the spots they need to be for the memory to call on them for the glitch. So more pause buffering to manipulate the in-game timer, which is important for the end. And he sets Cecil then to fight. So Kane comes down, Cecil attacks, not with the fire sword though, but it doesn't matter, and we're done. We had some weird voice come and, you know, talk to us, un-nothing us because we weren't paralyzed, and kill them with the Mist Dragon, but we don't know who that was. They didn't join our party. So we defeated Golbez, yay! See, that's what we need. We need Rydia to save the day. So yeah, that person who helped us was our the wonderful little girl Rydia, who is an adult now. We're not quite sure how that happened. We do know she went into the land of the summoned monsters, and time flows differently there. Timey-wimey, you know, that sort of thing. And she's an adult now and incredibly powerful. So unfortunately, though, she's not very useful in this particular run. So that's basically all we're gonna get from her. One of the only bad things about this run. But Golbez was not as dead as we thought, and he stole the crystal anyway. So boo-hoo, sadness. We better, you know, continue on, right? We're gonna now start using a glitch, or use a glitch, which I know I was familiar with it casually, and maybe you guys were too, which is as long as you don't move off of that square, and you cast warp, warp will take you into the last floor you were in, which in this case is the crystal room. This particular crystal room does match the crystal room for the sealed cave, where you do get a crystal. So, but we don't want to do the sealed cave either, so this will save it. And now, oh my god, what just happened to the screen? Guys, are you seeing this? So, we have now entered the magic part of our run, which is the 64 floor glitch. So, a Couch overwrote where the map was, the world map. And so he has to travel through 64 floors of essentially garbage, but with a lot of exploration, we know exactly where to go to map that mage room we saw there as our new world map, and to go to other scenes like, hey, we didn't even have to leave the dwarf castle, and here we are in the sealed cave with this awesome Yang cosplays like this cool ninja. Like, I don't know who this guy is. because we picked up that dark crystal in the room, we were able to trigger the cutscene, and Kane just stole it from us, and away we went. So with that done, we continue. For those who aren't actually familiar with this screen, this is the Dwarven Master, whose name I'm terrible at pronouncing, so I'm not even going to try. Kokkol is his name, and this is his house. So enjoy his house. You're going to see it a lot. So what we're doing is we are moving left a lot, and in this particular run, which is 9 item, there's no save in the middle, unlike the 12 item run that I do. And by the looks of it, though, he has gotten through. There's a few checkpoints while we're walking where the game checks for some of these items we talked about, like where the hovercraft is, where the black chocobo is. Do you have a good chocobo? A good yellow chocobo? Things like that. What is your in-game time good? Well, your gold good? And so it's checking all these things. How much time did you say stay in the save screen when loading a game? Yeah, it looks at that too. And so we're just walking until then, because he has passed everything. Or I don't know if he's passed everything, but he's definitely going. And oh, hey guys, we're on the moon. So we're about to get everybody's favorite Lunarian, or maybe second favorite Lunarian, our coolest old guy Lunarian, Fusoya, Uncle Mop. In the Japanese runners, the Super Famicom runners, all refer to him as Mop, because when Fusoya is his dead sprite, his beard is just puddled out around him, and he literally looks like the bottom of a mop. It's kind of beautiful. Once I heard that nickname, I was like, that is amazing. Okay, so he still needs to do the in-game timer room and the GP room. So he's just done some of the initial stuff. So it looks like those rooms are in the same spot. But we need to get Fusoya first. Yep, exactly. As Alec47 posted, that's our Mr. Uncle Mop. Oh, that's cool. He was just standing in lava. And everything's black, but that doesn't mean anything. Because some of these, we can use a warp. We can use our warp spell to save us, so don't worry. So I'm not sure which, if any of the rooms that was. I'm assuming that was both our in-game timer and GP. And now we're just going to take a break and rearrange some spells, because walking left all the time gets tiring. Now, you guys want to hear about a cool game that we like to do in our community? We like to take bets, because we're about to get to the end of the game with the characters we are not supposed to be there with. And because of that, some of our cutscenes and the spells that are cast in those cutscenes go a little weird. So we're taking bets. We like to take bets on damage rolls. So the first one we're taking bets on is white. And those tend to range anywhere between high 70s to like as high as I think like even 120 maybe. I'm not sure if it's quite that high. And then the second one we bet on is Medio, where we will bet anywhere between like 170, or sorry, 1700 to just above 2100. So put your bets in chat, folks. I will get mine in there. I always do 104, 1812. So it is also Price is Right rule. So, oh look guys, we're on the moon again, right in front of the final boss. So it's time. I will let you know when the white cutoff is, just to make everything fair for everyone. Yeah, that was beautiful, Couch. You made it. So once you get to this point, you're completely safe. There's no problem. You know, easy peasy. And so, for anyone familiar with this game, you're supposed to have Golbez and Fusoya here, but we've got Fusoya in our party already, so they gave us Sid instead. So, just cuz. So who's our winner? Winner, 121. That was nice. And oh, what's that? Your lovely commentator is the winner. Thank you. I'll be here all night. 104 is closest. So, but you guys still have the closest. You guys still have Medio. So let's see who's our winner for Medio. That's not the Medio. I'll let you know when the Medio is. So again, I will type in chat when the Medio cutoff is. Yeah, Sid don't play, guys. Now that he knows this magic, he's gonna mess stuff up. That 121, that actually is really incredibly high for Sid, because he's not a magic user at all. His magic stat is awful. So, we're just cutscening for a while here, looking at our beautiful, wonderful everything. But wasn't that magical, guys? It was a lot of left walking, but boy, that's definitely not how I'm used to getting to the moon. Like, I hear rumors there's a big whale somewhere and everything. And look, Yang he is so into this cosplay. Like, he likes the blue hair, he likes being a ninja. And who wouldn't? Ninjas are pretty cool, right? But what about pirates? Do you like pirates? Yeah, I'm gonna start a fight here now. Okay, so, they thought that, you know, good job us. Golbez, oh yeah, Golbez is good now. Apparently he was also brainwashed. That's the other subtitle of this game, is, Final Fantasy IV, everyone is brainwashed. So, about to cut off Medio. Done. Medio's cut off. Let's see what we got here. Oh man, you're on fire tonight. 2022. And that would be not me. I didn't roll high enough. Zero Wing. Oh, 2022 Rivers. Rivers bar none. He was 4 away. That was beautiful. Good job, Rivers. So Rivers McCown is our Medio winner. You guys get the chance to win, to play FF4 again as your prize. So sadly, Zeromus is back. He is filled with hate. He is gonna hate you. Yes, it ain't played nobody. I was really close, and Sid was just on fire. He just said, you know what? I'm feeling this round. This is for charity, so I'm gonna totally do that. Oh my god, guys, I see we got a donation. We got a donation. Anyone else who wants to, you know, get a donation here? And now, guys, cutscenes. So many cutscenes. There's plenty of time if you want to read the donation, if it came with any comments. If not, we'll just chill here with the party. As they're gonna save the world.
What?
Party? Yeah, Couch, there's a party. I hear rumors you're invited.
I run from parties.
Yeah, you know what? I run from parties too. So, second last mechanic, is it is recently, within the last few months, discovered that, I'm not sure if it's certain cutscenes or basically just this one, but in this cutscene at least, if you run throughout it, you actually save about 11 to 12 seconds just by running. So we run our way to victory. So we got about 30 seconds if you want to read anything or say anything. If not, then we will watch this kind of spaz party happening here. Pretty exciting, Couch. And you can read all this wonderful motivational text from our party, guys. But hold on a sec. I don't know that our party is strong enough to beat these guys. Zeromus is a pretty hard boss. Okay, so we're just about there. It's almost time, guys. They're gonna finish curing us. We're getting... Oh, hey, we've got double mops here. There's no losing when you've got double mops. Especially when they're dancing like those are. So this is also, bar none, the best final boss fight ever. Ever. So even though it looks like our party is incredibly underleveled, don't worry about it, because we have this really cool Uptco spell. What's Uptco, guys? Oh my god, are we racing Crystal? What are you even doing? So if that Crystal goes off first, which it won't, yeah, Zeromus turns into his next form. So Uptco ends up being the reaction command, and the first form of Zeromus has no protection against that, so we're done. Time. Yeah, during the glitch, by reordering Fusia's spells and continuing through the glitch, they get corrupted. And so we just moved up this brand new spell, Uptco, to the top. And that's it. You use it. We sacrifice our poor mop in order to defeat the greatest evil of all time. And It's beautiful. It's wonderful. Come join us. Come play Final Fantasy IV with us. We're not too scary. Again, our runners were GenoKirby, Couch_23, and myself, Natara Zeviana. I'll type in chat, hello, so you can get my name thing. I think we have some more runs coming up here, though, so I will turn it back over to our staff. Thanks so much for having us.